Brie Larson video that so many were expecting from me. But you know what the funny thing is? Before we get into this, like, I've said this before, and I'm sure, just like every Brie Larson video I make, some far lefty will take a screenshot of all the Brie Larson videos I make and upgrade this one and then say, "Oh, incel," even though, like, I don't know, every major news media outlet has 1,000 articles on Brie Larson. Apparently, it's different when you're a YouTuber.
If you type Brie Larson and the quartering in on YouTube's search feature, you will get a ton of videos this guy has made on her. So let's quickly have a flick through some of the thumbnails and the titles. So, Brie Larson attacks me, we must strike back. Brie Larson fired from Captain Marvel and failing YouTube channel. Brie Larson YouTube channel collapses. Brie Larson is ugly. Captain Marvel actress goes fishing for compliments. Brie Larson joins YouTube. She's totally just like us, except better. Avengers cast savagely roast Brie Larson and her lies. Brie Larson totally doesn't hate white men. So what we're going to do in this video is talk about why reactionaries and anti-SJW types really hate Brie Larson and why they have this real focus on her as opposed to other people. It's clearly good for generating traffic and views to their channel, but their obsession of her is really, really weird. I don't know if it's quite dangerous yet, but of course you don't want legions of incels being, I guess, incentivized to harass her from all these reactionary channels. And you can see even on her first YouTube upload, it's been brigaded by loads of these right-wing types. Now, before we go any further, if you want to support my work, please like the video, maybe subscribe, maybe share. If you want to support me financially, check out my Patreon in the description, and also come join my Discord and my subreddit, and follow me on social media at The Tabernacle. So if you go on Brie Larson's YouTube channel, she has over 450,000 subscribers. But if you go on her first video, which now has 2.2 million views, it has 192k likes and 141k dislikes. Now this is actually a really high dislike ratio, especially for someone like this just making the introduction to their channel. And most of the comments, if you go and have a look, are just troll comments from reactionary channels brigading her channel. Now let's just have a quick look at what she says in the video. It's really not a big deal. Definitely not worthy of 141k dislikes.
Hi, I'm Brie Larson. Oh, God. Hi, I'm Brie Larson. I'm an actor. You might know me from Captain Marvel, or maybe you know me from nothing. Maybe you just randomly from the algorithm clicked on this, but regardless, hello. I'm starting a YouTube channel. Why am I starting a YouTube channel? Great question. YouTube has been a place that I have learned so much. Whether it's been like how to use my printer, or it's been watching like how to be a considerate activist, this is like the place to talk about things that are important and that matter. It doesn't mean that there isn't also silly content, that there's ways for me to express myself personally, but there will also be deep conversations, anti-racist rhetoric, inclusive content. So with all that said, the following video is just me getting warmed up and feeling this out and getting to talk with a lot of really brilliant, awesome creators. So here it is.
Even from that quick 1-minute intro, you can see why these types wouldn't like her, talking about inclusive content, anti-racist content, and how to be a better activist. Not really a recipe for gaining anti-SJW viewers, but let's get into the reasons why they really hate her, and it does tie into her progressive politics. Now, she has spoken on various issues, but the one that they keep obsessing over is white men. So let's have a look at two little clips here which drove anti-SJWs crazy.
So earlier this week, USC Annenberg's Inclusive Initiative released findings that 67% of the top critics reviewing the 100 highest grossing movies in 2017 were white males. Less than a quarter were white women, and less than 10% were unrepresented men. Only 2.5% of those top critics were women of color. So you're probably thinking right now, like, wow, that super doesn't represent the country that I live in, and that's because that's true. This is a huge disconnect from the US population breakdown of 30% white men, 30% white women, 20% men of color, and 20% women of color. On top of all of this, am I saying that I hate white dudes? No, I'm not. But what I am saying is that if you make a movie that is a love letter to women of color, there is an insanely low chance a woman of color will have the chance to see your movie and review your movie. Other people besides white dudes like Star Wars and would love the opportunity to do a set visit. And I'm also saying I don't hate white dudes. I'm just saying we need to be conscious of our bias and do our part to make sure that everyone is in the room. Good reviews out of festivals give small independent films a fighting chance to be bought and seen. Good reviews help films gross money. Good reviews slingshot films into awards contenders. A good review can change your life. It changed mine. We are expanding to make films that better reflect the people that buy movie tickets, but they are not allowed enough chances to read public discourse on these films by the people that these films were made for. I do not need a 40-year-old white dude to tell me what didn't work for him about A Wrinkle in Time. It wasn't made for him. I want to know what that film meant to women of color, to biracial women, to teen women of color, to teens that are biracial. And for the third time, I don't hate white dudes.
As a white guy watching that clip, I don't have any problem with it. I guess what some people, maybe who are rational, took it as is no white man's criticism of any film is relevant unless it was made for a white man. And I don't think that's what she was saying. I think she has clarified later that's not exactly what she was saying. But her main point is, in the film industry, you have a lot of different films, and I guess it's getting more diverse, but 67% of critics in America who reviewed the top 10 blockbusters are white men, which is disproportionate to America having about a 30% population of white men. So when you make a film about the experience of black women, of biracial women, all these different groups who are underrepresented, it would be nice if more of the critics reviewing this stuff actually had a connection to the film, and the film was, I guess, either catered towards them or made about similar experiences they might have in life. Because yes, white men are obviously the most privileged in Western society. If you're making a film about, I don't know, a poor black single mother, or, you know, there's various different films about the black struggle in America historically, or contemporary films, anything like that, you would like a wider range of voices. You wouldn't just want white men dominating the conversation around that. And like they also go on to say, reviews affect what films get picked up by studios. So you wouldn't just want white men dictating what films get picked up and what films will not get picked up. So totally fair point in my opinion, and you definitely have to have some sort of prejudice, and you'd have to be some sort of bigot to really take that as an affront to white men. I honestly really don't understand white men who can't take any criticism of white men. I think it also explains why Jordan Peterson is so popular, saying that you need this hierarchy which has been in place for thousands of years. You need men at the top, and in Western society that is white men, because that's the way society's always worked. Something about lobsters, blah blah blah. But let's go into how the anti-SJWs reacted back in the day. Of course, we have to turn to the two Jeremy twins, Jeremy from The Quartering and Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, two of the more stupid reactionaries I always like to dunk on, but they just have such horrible takes all the time that are so easy, it sometimes feels a little cruel, because they're clearly not intellectually capable of digesting these things. They just see someone with progressive politics saying something about white men, and then they all freak out.
You know, Miss Brie Larson, the activism actress, the person that wants to treat Captain Marvel as an activism movie because she is so into diversity and she is so into helping out the little people that need their help, because she's such a powerful woman, a powerful white woman, and she is here to take the amazing platform that she has gotten herself to help the little people. Let me help you, minorities. Let me help you, other women, because I'm so great. I am so much better than you. and I am going to reach upon you with my white privilege yourself. Right, Brie Larson? That's what you think? You think that everybody else can't do it themselves. They need your help because you're such an egomaniac.
So I don't understand why what she said is worthy of mockery and why it makes her an egomaniac. Yes, she is using her platform as a white woman in a Western country to promote better diversity in film. I don't really think that makes someone an egomaniac.
That is a racist comment. Not sure how you define it, Brie, but I and every other normal thinking human being defines that as a racist comment. So clearly you just don't want white dudes to have an opinion. You don't want white dudes to go see your movie, right? That's exactly what you're saying.
Also, I find it funny that they think what she said was racist because she doesn't want to hear the opinion of a 40-year-old white man on a film that is telling a story not made for 40-year-old white men. It's not a racist comment, especially coming from someone who is white themselves.
Go ahead and act like you're better than all white people and I'm the only white person that's gonna reach down and help all of the minorities and all of the women because I am Brie Larson. I am so much better than everyone else.
So with this video, you see that the only thing he thinks of Brie Larson's comments is that she's trying to prove how woke she is. And I like what anti-SJWs like to do is not address the actual point she was making. So what do those guys think? That 67% of film critics for the top 10 blockbusters in the year she made those comments were all white men, even though that's not proportional to the population. Do you want to dig a bit deeper into the social causes, why that might be, the reasons with patriarchy, with, you know, institutional racism and biases, why there aren't more diverse film critics? Or do you just want to make some really lazy video where you just criticize her for having woke politics and that she is a feminist, but don't address any point she is making, or not even try and understand the point she was making, even if you don't particularly like the comment that she doesn't care about the opinions of 40-year-old white dudes. Now, to go on a bit of a tangent, just to go on his personal opinion, he seems to think Brie Larson is a really, really bad person, but I don't really see any evidence for that apart from these comments. And his obsession and his comments seem a bit unhinged. And it goes to my point that these reactionaries have real deep-seated, bigoted and prejudiced views where someone just saying something like, let's diversify film critics, sets them off like this.
Because she is a horrible person. She's not a good person. She should not be in the position she's in. She is racist. She is sexist. She is just a bad person all the way around.
So again, I don't understand how any of her comments make her the most unlikable person ever and how she is any of these things he claims she is. I just honestly don't understand the obsession. She's just one prominent white woman who plays a superhero who talks about diversity sometimes. And what she says isn't really scathing. She's not saying, you know, some amazing stuff you'd hear from communists or Marxists about global institutional racism and colonialism and Western supremacy and white supremacy. It's a pretty simple point. I just want the film critics to represent the population better. And it's quite hard being a woman in the film industry, and it's even harder if you're a woman from a minority. I don't understand why that is so controversial when it's true. So let's get into the real obsessive with Brie Larson, quarter pounder. He even admits he's a bit of an obsessive in one of his videos when talking about her being a host at the Game Awards. But let's look at his take on when she said all this stuff about white male critics.
Curious statements about Brie Larson in the early stages of the Captain Marvel movie, essentially saying, I don't want to hear what a white dude has to say. The non-white dudes could be making different choices with their time, but of course, if they're not there, it must be because of some invisible...
What, you just think minorities don't like films, so they don't choose to go into the film world, they don't choose to be film reviewers? Or is film reviewing something that you need higher education for, you need to have experience writing, and if there are socio-economic barriers to that, because there are, then if you're from a minority who might be poorer disproportionately in the US or the UK because of institutional racism, because of other things like that, then it makes sense that you won't be represented as much. It isn't simply that black people or Asian people or native people just think film reviewing film's not really for me, I'm going to pursue another life choice, and we're all equal and we can just decide what we want to do.
Like, there are too many men in any one position thing. If you change anything in that sentence, there are too many women, there are too many blacks in this position. People wouldn't approve of it, but because it's white men, it's universally approved, which is a disgusting double standard.
Comment also plays into what I feel a lot of anti-SJWs and reactionaries believe, that white men are somehow persecuted, criticising white men dominating an industry or acting or filmmaking. If you change that around to black or women, that would be controversial. Well, that would be controversial because they're not in a position of power. The society they live in is not controlled by that group. Western society is controlled by white men. Most industries are dominated by white men. White men have the power to criticise white men disproportionately making up the percentage of anything isn't racist. It's just true, and it stems from our racist system where we are very overrepresented in lots of different things. And you can't just explain that away, that these different groups who aren't represented just chose not to go for those specific industries. And you guys are totally obsessed with her, and it comes from two different places. Like I said, I believe most anti-SJW and reactionary channels are very bigoted. So simply because a superhero who's a white woman saying she doesn't want to hear the opinion of white men like you about films that aren't catered to you drives you absolutely insane, because you deny basic prejudices in society exist. You get angry when anyone tries to advocate against the status quo, anyone tries to advocate for people who might not have as big a platform as they do, like Brie Larson has been doing with her platform. And someone made a good comment on one of my other videos saying you guys are the status quo warriors, because you are. You don't want anything to change, and like I said earlier, you don't engage with the arguments she's actually making, which are very sound and make sense. You just criticise her for being woke, and you criticise and misconstrue one little thing she says and try and paint her as a racist for talking about white men being dominant in certain industries. But then it also plays into the other side that these guys are basically content farms in a lot of ways. The Quartering uploads so much stuff, and it's super lazy videos in the sense that he doesn't really make an argument, he doesn't really make too many sweeping statements, he just reads an article and reads everyone else's tweets. Geeks and Gamers does the exact same thing. It's lazy, but their clickbaitiness and picking on people, or even making people targets to keep picking on, gets them views, gets them money, and YouTube's algorithm like it as well. So hopefully this explained a bit why they're obsessed with Brie Larson. They've made so many videos on her about so many different things. I of course can't cover it all, but it all stems from this comment about white men. Now if you liked the video, please like, maybe share, maybe subscribe to the channel. If you want to find me on social media, at The Cavernacle on Twitter and Instagram, please come join my Discord, please come join my subreddit, that is all in the description. Listen to my podcast, which is also in the description, and if you made it this far, thank you for watching.